It's Thursday, April 23rd, and this is now on HNN.
They don't need it. We weren't broken.
Las Vegas's mayor faces backlash after making remarks about reopening the Ninth Island.
Coronavirus hotspots are popping up at new locations across the nation. I'm Michael George with what Americans think about when we should reopen the country.
It's sad, it's pathetic, and it's unconstitutional.
Back here at home, when it comes to ramping up testing on Oahu, state and city leaders aren't on the same page.
I don't know how that right hand not talking to the left hand. That sounds like a handshake.
Meanwhile, the head of the Labor Department says an outdated system is to blame for the unemployment claims backlog.
Unfortunately, some of those systems are rather dated.
These stories, plus sports stars from the worlds of football and golf, are joining forces for COVID-19 relief. Coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jonathan alongside Ashley. You're watching This Is Now. We want to get started with some new numbers from the Department of Health, some encouraging numbers.
Yep, health officials are reporting just 4 new COVID-19 cases today, bringing the statewide total to 596. Of the new cases, 1 is on Oahu, 1 is on the Big Island, and 2 are on Maui. Hawaii's death toll stands at 12, and 455 people have been released from isolation so far.
All right, some states around the country are beginning the process of reopening their economies, despite the criticism from public health officials saying it's too early and it could be too dangerous for relaxing those social distancing rules. Michael George is in New York with a look at what's happening around the nation.
Demonstrators in Michigan held signs supporting President Trump's re-election as they urged Governor Gretchen Whitmer to reopen the economy.
There's businesses hurting. Families are about to go bankrupt.
Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is moving forward with plans to reopen Friday, giving tattoo parlors, nail salons, and gyms the green light, despite objections from health experts and the president.
I'm going to let him make his decision, but I told him I totally disagree.
In D.C., where the number of coronavirus cases surpassed 3,000 this week, Mayor Muriel Bowser says she's created an advisory group to address how to reopen safely.
We all know that our community has made too many sacrifices to move forward too quickly.
A new CBS News poll finds 70% of Americans say the nation's top priority should be slowing the spread of coronavirus, not getting the economy going. In New York, where another 438 residents died Wednesday, Governor Andrew Cuomo lashed out at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for suggesting states like his should declare bankruptcy instead of looking for more federal funds.
Let New York State declare bankruptcy. Let Michigan declare bankruptcy. Let Illinois declare bankruptcy. Let California declare bankruptcy. You will see a collapse of this national economy.
So far, Governor Cuomo says about 3,000 people in New York have screened for COVID antibodies. Preliminary results suggest nearly 14% had them, a sign that almost close to 3 million people in New York may have been infected and recovered. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Back here at home, 2 tourists who were arrested twice for violating the 14-day quarantine on Oahu have left the state. We're told the attorney for Kimberly Kim Tien of Las Vegas and Edwin Tun of Australia negotiated a deal that allowed them to avoid additional charges if they left immediately. Now, the couple caught a flight out of Honolulu last night. Meanwhile, Hawaii's arrivals are staying steady. Despite the mandatory quarantine, 139 visitors flew here on Tuesday. Another 171 returning residents also landed at airports across the state. Tourism officials say they've made 11,000 calls to visitors to ensure they're following the mandate. If they can't get a hold of them, law enforcement is then called.
All right, we want to talk more about those social distancing restrictions in some states loosening them up. We're hearing more and more about that, especially after what happened yesterday. The Nevada governor is now coming out and saying they are not going to ease up, despite what the mayor said yesterday. She was calling for the economy to be reopened there on the Ninth Island. How this all played out was on Anderson Cooper's show, and it's getting a lot of buzz on social media.
And so, of course, we know that. We tried to work on the sensitivities of people to be responsible as to spreading any kind of germ, whether it's the flu.
But don't you think that it's worked
in
in Las Vegas, social distancing? Don't you think it's worked? Because, I mean, 163 deaths, that is, compared to some other states, that's low. For those families.
We're
it is
2.3,
all that matters.
2.3 million people in southern Nevada, and we've had 150 deaths. We
163, I believe, is the latest number, actually.
Wrong.
But
that's for Nevada. That's Nevada. This is down here, 150.
Okay. So you've had almost all
million.
the deaths, by the way, in Nevada, you've had in Las Vegas. So you've had 150 deaths
Correct.
out of 163
we're
deaths.
We're 2.3
Isn't
million
that because
people here.
of social distancing that you would have had far more without it? Do you not believe that?
We're 2.3 million here. There are 3 million, up overall in the state. The numbers may be off, but I know we're well over 2 million.
Do you not believe social distancing has helped keep people alive?
We're at the lion's share of the population and the income and the jobs. When you have 2.3 million and you have lost, and every one of those 150, oh my gosh, it could be your own mother, your own grandmother, your grandfather, your brother, your sister, anybody, every one of those lives is a tragic loss. But when you count 150 versus 2.3 million, you have to say, we have to open up. We have to go back. Our bus drivers, our
But hasn't it been because of social distancing that the numbers have been what they are?
How do you know until we have a control group? We offer to be a control group. Anybody who knows anything about statistics knows that, for instance, you have a vaccine.
You're offering
the
citizens of Las Vegas to be a control group to see if your theory on social distancing works or doesn't work.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said we'll be a control group.
Excuse me. What I said was, I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician, you can't do that because people from all parts of southern Nevada come in to work in the city. And I said, oh, that's too bad, because I know when you have a disease, you have a placebo that gets the water and the sugar, and then you get those that actually get the shot. We would love to be that placebo side so you have something to measure against. So all the data until
you want to get the placebo, you don't want to get the actual. Well, no, the group who gets the placebo, by the way, usually gets the short end of the stick.
Well, you don't know. How do you know when you're in part of that group? You are.
Mayor, if casinos reopen, are you going to be inside those casinos every single night, putting your own life on the line?
I have lived in this town for 56 years.
Are you going to go to the casinos every night and put your life on the line like all the workers you say you were there holding their hands?
So they don't need it. We weren't broken. We tragically have 150 people we lost. Tragic. We have 2.3 million people here.
I haven't heard you say yes, that you would be sitting on those casino floors every night along with the people that you say you are holding their hands with.
What is the purpose of that? First of all, I have a family.
Because it would be putting your money. It would be putting money where your mouth is, to use a Las Vegas term.
Anderson,
if you say it's safe,
Anderson.
Okay, so you're not willing to sit on the casino floors with them when they're reopened and breathe the refiltered air.
First of all, I don't gamble. I used to gamble when we first came to town. I don't have the time. I work 7 days a week. I have so many things that I have to attend to. I can't sit
wouldn't want
on
to
a
sit on those floors either.
Floor.
I wouldn't want to sit on the floors either. I'm with you on that one. Mayor Carolyn Goodman, I appreciate your time, and I wish you the best for the people of your city.
All right, you can see there why that's getting the buzz on social media. A lot of people talking about it. If you have something to say, feel free to leave it in our comment thread on this live stream right now. But for now, we're going to switch gears and talk about something that is also hitting the hearts and minds of so many people. The national unemployment numbers are surging to levels last seen during the Great Depression. That means 1 in 6 American workers are without a job, which is just staggering numbers there. Naomi Ruckham wraps up this report. She filed this.
Coronavirus shutdowns first hit restaurant workers and others in the service industry. Now layoffs are rippling through the economy, with more white-collar workers and healthcare professionals losing jobs. 4.4 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week. That brings the total number of jobs lost in 5 weeks to approximately 26 million.
Now, economists are trying to project when this could really start to come down. The hope, and this is a hope, is that by the middle to end of May that these claims drop down to what would be sort of normal recessionary levels, and normal would be hundreds of thousands, certainly not millions.
Millions of those out of work are self-employed, including Heidi Julian. She owns a dog walking business, and with all her clients staying at home, she hasn't made money in a month.
Self-employed people haven't been able to collect unemployment before.
But now, self-employed gig workers and independent contractors can apply for benefits through their states under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program.
I'm grateful that they have included us in this package. I wish that it had come a little sooner for myself and for others.
Salon owner Sharon Jackson Bailey hopes she qualifies as well.
If I can't pay rent, I've been here 24 years. It would be sad for me to lose it just for that.
Bailey is in Massachusetts, which is taking applications. But with each state determining who is eligible for what money, it could be several weeks before many states are ready to distribute funds. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Here at home, we're expecting to get updated local unemployment numbers later today. At last check, more than 250,000 people had filed for unemployment in Hawaii since March 1st. Hundreds of state workers and volunteers are now working to speed up the process, but it's not that simple. State Labor Director Scott Murakami has been telling us how old the system is, and State Senator Laura Thielen was among the first wave of volunteers this week. In a Facebook post, she said it took her 4 hours just to process 29 claims because of the outdated system. And to make matters worse, the state says they're also experiencing cyber attacks. And now an initiative to test more people on Oahu is facing criticism. The city is spending about $2 million to purchase 10,000 test kits and pay community health centers to conduct the tests. The samples will then be flown to labs on the mainland, and city officials were promised patients would get their results back in 48 hours. But State Health Director Bruce Anderson says those tests are not FDA approved, and he says he only learned of the city's plans on Tuesday. Anderson said the city could have saved taxpayer money if it coordinated with the state, since testing with local labs would have been covered by insurance. But city officials say they did share their plans at a meeting last week with health department officials that Anderson did not attend.
We spoke to Dr. Park 7 days before the announcement. I'm firm. We had this conversation on April 14th. I don't know how that's the right hand not talking to the left hand. That sounds like a handshake. Not that we agreed, but we shared all the points of our intention.
He was well-meaning in this regard. I think you felt that there was a need for testing capability, particularly in the community health centers. What he probably didn't know at the time, because I've just gotten that information, is we have capacity through our local labs to do this testing.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. There's no coordination. People are confused about the testing, and that's because that message has not come from the state level. The mayors are running wild.
The city says the first test at the community health centers is expected to be administered by next week.
All right, we want to talk internationally now. We're going to take you to Wuhan, China, and as that city slowly begins to come back to life after a 76-day lockdown, many businesses, small and large, are struggling to figure out how to even open up. David Culver is there. He filed this report.
Being on the ground here at the original epicenter of the novel coronavirus outbreak, we have noticed a struggle among small businesses in particular to reopen. Sure, as you drive by some of the commercial streets, you may see about half the stores are back open after what was arguably the harshest of lockdown conditions. 76 days in which many people were sealed off in their homes, unable to leave. And so now, as they are 2 weeks out of the easing of those lockdown restrictions, they're trying to navigate this new normal. Now, some businesses tell us, quite frankly, they will not reopen ever. They financially cannot have weathered this storm. Others have found new ways to operate. Now, these are mostly larger chains, bigger brands, such as Starbucks, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Burger King. What they're doing is keeping people from coming into their stores. Instead, they have moved their businesses to the storefronts. People can walk up, ask what they want, put their orders in, pay, but keep that social distance. It's their way of keeping businesses open, moving forward with life in what is an uncertain post-lockdown era. David Culver, Wuhan, China.
On Capitol Hill, the House is voting to create a new subcommittee to track more than $2 trillion in coronavirus aid, adding another layer of oversight as President Donald Trump's administration spends the money. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the new subcommittee is necessary to root out fraud and abuse. It will also examine the government's response to the virus. Republicans oppose the creation of the committee, saying it duplicates other work and will be politicized by Democrats.
And there we see Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers walking into the Capitol, of course all wearing masks. It's not an image you normally see, and it just gives you a sort of glimpse at the sign of the times we're dealing with. She's choosing to wear sort of a scarf mask there, not your traditional face mask. All right, I want to get now to our new segment called Checking In. Today we're going to check in with a local entertainer, a DJ that's well known across the island for her gigs. All of those have now come to a standstill, of course. Let's check in with DJ Nora. All right, today we're checking in with Nora Nellis, DJ Nora. Many of you might know her from that. She has well known around town at a number of venues, playing some hip disco-y music sometimes, I would say, right?
Yeah. Dance music, disco, all kinds.
All right, so what's it been like? Obviously, the impact to you is those venues are shut down. So,
yeah, that kind of, plainly, I feel like that's impacted every DJ from like whatever small scale I might be doing here locally to like internationally. There's festivals are shut down. Every venue almost nationwide is shut down. And at least like for me, most of my stuff was just like a monthly or very like, it was a small operation. There are things that can be replanned. So once venues do reopen, it wouldn't be so hard to just pick up where I left off. But I think like anything larger than that, some stuff takes like 6 months of planning. So shutting those things down has kind of put like a whole stop on the industry.
And obviously you're close to the people who run those venues. So what's it been like seeing it through your eyes, seeing what they're going through?
It's scary. It's like it just goes to show how much we all have in common. We all essentially have been dealt the exact same cards. It's very few people who haven't been like drastically affected by this. And it's not to say that like everybody is affected equally, but there's a lot more common ground, I think, than people realize, and this has shown that.
And then you were saying a little bit earlier, we were chatting, you're a social person, no denying it. What have you been doing to keep your art and social activity alive in this day of social distancing?
Well, I'm really fortunate. I have a full setup for gear at my house. So I'm not limited by lack of equipment. I know that's a lot of people's problems. They depend on venues' gear to be able to, do their work. I have a full setup, so I've still been working on mixes. I recorded a radio show earlier this morning. Not really anything that's been for financial compensation. It's more just, I'm not really tethered to anybody else's expectations anymore. When you're working at a venue or you're working for an event, you have to cater to whoever is running the event, cater to the venue, cater to the audience that's showing up at either of those things. There's expectations of what you're going to be providing. So you don't really just get to express for yourself. If I want to just play music that is something that I feel like listening to in my bedroom, which is where I'm at all day long, it's the perfect time for that. It's a perfect time for really just like indulging your feelings and being able to like express that way.
Bedroom dance party with a vacuum cleaner. Oh yeah.
Like all day.
Well, let's just also talk about, I guess this wasn't your full-time job, obviously. DJing's pretty much no one's full-time job. How has your other income been impacted?
My other income, I've been furloughed and laid off by both of my jobs. So I have 2 other jobs outside of DJing. So like all 3 of my forms of income have been pretty much cut off by this pandemic. I'm really grateful that some of the companies I work for, well, both of the companies I work for have been so like accommodating and making sure that like I'm okay too.
Just a few more weeks, hopefully, Nora. Thank you for letting us check in with you.
Awesome. Walmart and the website Nextdoor are making it easier for neighbors to help each other during the pandemic. They're jointly launching a program called Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Members of Nextdoor can now request assistance or offer to help someone in their community with shopping at their local Walmart. Now, through the Nextdoor app or on nextdoor.com, members can coordinate pickup and delivery of groceries, medications, or other essential items. Now, this next story, Jonathan, I have to ask you, have you been having weird dreams during this pandemic?
We talked about this in the newsroom a few weeks ago, actually, before we even knew about this story. And me and a fellow producer out there had both said we've been having newsroom dreams.
Oh, no.
Like when you, and I were talking then, because I always know I'm stressed out when I dream about high school, which I've had a few of those too.
Oh, boy.
So.
Well, experts say if you are having that, that's normal. Apparently, many Americans are experiencing this, and that's because that's a completely normal thing that happens during times of uncertainty. And the ability to remember your dreams may actually have to do with getting more sleep. So Nancy Chen has more on what's being called quarantine dreaming.
Now it's really, really intense.
Stay-at-home mom Stephanie Klein says she's never had more vivid dreams than the ones she's experienced over the last several weeks.
They're not nightmares, but they more than once have left me drenched in sweat and like having like a real like physiological response. I've been able to write them down pretty accurately.
She's not alone. Sleep experts say during the COVID-19 pandemic, they've seen an uptick in vivid dreams and in the ability to recall them.
Some of us were actually getting more sleep, and you have more dreams right before you awaken in the morning.
In a Harvard survey, more than 2,000 people described 5,000 COVID-19 related dreams in the last month. Harvard psychologist Dr. Deirdre Barrett is collecting those dreams.
There are a lot of these, oh my God, I have it and maybe I'm going to die. And then there are a lot of dreams that have metaphors for the virus, every kind of bug in the world attacking the dreamer.
Experts say one function of dreams is to help us emotionally process what we experience during our waking hours. And some say there are actually ways to influence what happens when you close your eyes.
Just as you fall asleep, you can image whatever it is you want to dream about very vividly. And that greatly increases the odds that you'll have the dream you're requesting.
Sleep experts also suggest simple ways to set yourself up for good shut-eye. Keep the same wake up and bedtime, shut off electronics an hour before bed, get outside, and reduce your sugar and carb intake. And Dr. Barrett recommends sharing your dreams as a way to reach out and connect while we're all apart. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Electronics down.
Yeah, no carbs before bed. Sorry.
No, not happening. I had a number of cookies last night. All right, so we're talking about Mother's Day. It's right around the corner. There's some good news if you still want to get a gift for mom.
Yes, so floral shops may reopen for deliveries just in time for Mother's Day, but only for a limited time. Watanabe Floral says since the stay-at-home order went into effect, they've experienced a 97% decline in sales. But now the company says an exemption from the governor allows them to do contactless deliveries, similar to how the food industry works. You'll be able to order an arrangement online and they'll leave it at the recipient's door. Watanabe Floral says the exemption will only be there for a week, for the week of May 4th for all floral shops that can do deliveries. And Watanabe will only be able to sell 1,000 arrangements. After that, they'll stop deliveries until the government allows them to reopen for business.
So I guess the message there is put your order in now if you can, or as soon as they make them available to purchase.
Yep.
Good news. I expect those flowers. Oh wait, I'm not a mom. No. But you can still give me some friend flowers.
Okay,
it's
friend flowers. All right.
All right, I'll give some for my mom. All right, we're talking about headlines around the nation. A rap star thinks frontline workers and some feline friends have contracted COVID-19. Elise Preston has a wrap-up of all today's news.
The CDC has announced that 2 house cats in separate parts of New York State are the first pets in the U.S. to test positive for COVID-19. It's believed they contracted the virus from their owners or from someone outside their homes. The CDC says there's no indication the animals are transmitting the virus to humans. Chicago Public Schools handed out more grab-and-go meals to families on the South Side Thursday.
We're low income, and my husband is a sole provider, so these meals they do help us a lot.
One school estimates it distributes as many as 2,400 meals a week since the coronavirus pandemic shut down schools. And music superstar Eminem supported healthcare workers in Detroit by sending them a special meal. The Henry Ford Health System posted a photo of the donated containers with the label Mom Spaghetti, a reference to his hit song, Lose Yourself. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
All right, time to get to another news segment we're going to launch here. This is now called Good Medicine, where we bring you a wrap-up of the positive news of the day. We could all need more of that, right, Ash?
That's right.
What are we talking about?
So we told you about this last week. MakeAWish Hawaii is featuring adorable homegrown acts as in its first ever virtual talent show. It's called Stars at Home, and MakeAWish launched the online contest to keep spirits high after it was forced to postpone granting many wishes for Hawaii's Wish Kids. Now, the talent show features community members of all ages, and I, don't laugh, am sharing my super random hidden talent for this special organization. Now, my talent is making balloon animals, and since we only have a minute, I'm gonna do something super basic, and I figured since Easter just passed, I will make your standard bunny rabbit. And there is your standard rabbit with the ears and its tail. Right, you can vote for your favorite acts at starsathomehawaii.com from now until April 29th. It's $5 a vote with no limit on votes. Domino's Hawaii is going to match all donations, and all funds will go towards granting wishes for Hawaii's keiki.
Very cool. And I missed my cue a little bit earlier because we had another talent submissions lined up. So I'm going to play it out here because it looks so adorable.
They are.
Oh my goodness. I don't know, Ashley. I already voted. But you're doing good out there. Thanks for doing that. And it looks like the whole fundraising effort is doing well. So it's really easy. You just go online. $5 gets you a vote, and they're going to do the best with those dollars and stretch them out.
It's a great cause.
I agree. All right, so we're going to talk about how local farmers are finding new ways to connect with local consumers. Casey Lund spent the morning on the farm, and he filed this report. And let me pull it up. Let's play it out. Let's check in with Casey.
We spent our morning at one of Ho Farm's locations here outside of Wahiwa, looking over a really beautiful sight for most farmers, a healthy crop of local tomatoes. But when restaurants started to shut down and move to takeout and delivery service only, the idea of what to do with all this good local food kept some growers up at night.
Big things going through our mind was, are we going to have enough food for the island? Are we going to be able to keep this supply going?
Justin Ridgely has been farming for Ho Farms for more than 3 years. He's seen business ebb and flow through natural disasters and poor weather, but nothing like this. COVID-19 has even forced the shutdown of outdoor farmers markets. When local growers like Justin began sounding the alarm, the city and the Hawaii Farm Bureau stepped in. The Farm to Car program allows shoppers to pick and choose produce in an online farmers market. Then 6 days later, their order is available for pickup at the Blaisdell Center. The program launched with only one pickup day, but has now expanded to Wednesdays and Saturdays each week. Ridgely says as the coronavirus pandemic continues to evolve, consumers have a big decision to make.
This point in time is a big decision for all of us. Supporting local agriculture, this is the time to do it. If weather comes in and we cannot continue to grow, where are you guys going to get food from? Where's this supply chain going to come from locally? Are you going to be able to get fresh food?
You can support Ho Farms and learn more about the Farm to Car program by looking for this story on our website at hawaiinewsnow.com. Reporting in Wahiwa, Casey Lund, Hawaii News Now.
All right, we mentioned this in our headlines. Some sports stars are joining forces for COVID-19 relief, and it's sports stars from the world of golf and football. They're coming together for this COVID relief match, charity golf match. The 2-on-2 live competition is set to include 4 big names that everyone knows: Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. The event called The Match Champions for Charity and it will happen sometime in the next month. So stay tuned. It's going to be on TNT. Okay, guys, this is going to wrap it up for us today on This Is Now. We got some things coming up for you this afternoon. I know the mayor is going to have a press conference, right, and Ashley's going to be monitoring that. That's set to happen here in about 40 minutes at 1:30 HST. I think we're going to bring that to you on all our digital platforms. We'll wrap up what he says in our newsletter. We send that out around 3 o'clock. Sign up for it if you haven't already. And then again, wrap up all today's news coming up at 5 on HNN, on KGMB, and KHNL. Wanted to leave you today with a video I put together that sort of just, it's a slice of life of what we're all dealing with and sort of just wraps up the last few weeks. I'm going to play it out for you now.
I don't think America has ever seen anything like the COVID crisis that we're having right now.
Cars just keep coming and we keep loading milk, bread, and eggs and potatoes in people's vehicles.
I cried a lot of tears.
I started at 8 in the morning and I finally got through just after 1 o'clock after calling 642 times.
So your immediate impacts are in accommodations, in food service, in transportation, in retail.
Please do not gather or sit on the beach.
I understand it's necessary, but I feel like to go to the length to try to stop it, it's a little too much.
Anxiety is definitely increasing.
Lifestyles will definitely change, and hopefully everybody will be able to survive.
Seeing him like this, it breaks all of our hearts, because we know him as a strong, active, fun-loving man.
I talked about my positive test very openly. I have a lot of supporters out there that have been wonderful. And people have also been very cruel.
I'm under arrest.
Yeah, for violating the governor's rules.
We should be getting our rights back as we have more information, as we've got more time to supply our hospitals, but they keep taking rights away.
They were either going to save me or not. And they did.
Every day, they're taking care of this at-risk population, and sometimes it's easy to get kind of lost in what the work that you're doing. The Aloha spirit is alive and well, and we love it.